Okay, this week let's learn something that most Jews think they know, but they don't. And you might be one of them. So let's go. At every Jewish wedding, right before the wedding takes place, there's a tradition that the groom comes and he veils the bride, called the badekin. Ask most any Jew why we do it, and what will they say? Because of an incident we'll read of in 2 weeks, where the Torah tells us that Yaakov, thinking he married Rachel, ended up with Leah. And so before every ceremony, the groom checks to make sure he's marrying the right bride. Cute. Most everyone thinks that's it. But the reality is not one major commentator gives this as an explanation. The fact is, it doesn't explain why there's a veil there in the first place. The real answer to the question is found in this week's Torah portion, where we're told that Abraham's servant, fulfilling his mission, finds an appropriate bride for Yitzchak to marry. And when Rivka comes across the desert to meet her groom, and she sees him in the distance, she put on her veil. And that has become a hallowed custom amongst the Jewish people. The veil is placed over the face of the bride, and all those present recite the same blessing that was recited over Rivka. Achotenu at hayil alfei rebava. You, our sister, may you be the mother of multitudes. Well, maybe not literally, but that's the blessing. But what's the real meaning and purpose of the veil? Our sages differ in their perspective. Some say the groom puts the veil over his bride as if to say, how you look matters not to me. It's only the inner you that counts. Others say that placing the veil over the bride's face, the groom is symbolically beginning the obligation of every husband to clothe his wife. Still others say the purpose of the veil is to make sure the bride doesn't see her ring too clearly. She might not like what she sees. But the reality is the purpose of the veil is a sign of modesty. The bride is going to be the center of attention at the wedding. And so her face is covered so that no one other than her husband will gaze at her beauty. On this day, her beauty is for her husband alone. That's what Jewish tradition tells us. This bride is holy. And just as all the holy objects in the sanctuary were covered, we veiled the bride in the same way to show her sanctity. So that seems to be the perspective of Judaism. And yet, it's not so clear, because you should know that not all of the biblical commentators see Rivka's having veiled herself as a positive sign. After all, we're never told that Sarah veiled herself when she saw Abraham, or Rachel or Leah veiled themselves when they saw Yaakov. And the truth of the matter is, Rivka and Yitzchak did not have the best of marriages. Talk about a communication problem. Talk about men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Isaac and Rebekah never seemed to have anything to say to each other. When Isaac was about to give the blessing to Esav, thinking he deserved it, Rivka came up with a scheme to trick Isaac into giving the blessing to Yaakov. Why did she have to come up with a scheme and a plot this way? Why didn't she just say to her husband, Ike, or whatever she called him, you're making a mistake. You can't see it, but I can. Esau is a wild man. He's not worthy of the blessing. But Yaakov is. But she never says that. She never says much anything to her husband, which leads the Netziv to make a rather remarkable statement on this incident. The Netziv was Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Berlin, one of the giants of Jewish scholarship and the founder of the yeshiva of Slobodka. And the Netziv says, and I quote, Isaac and Rebekah did not have the relationship that Sarah and Abraham had or that Rachel and Jacob had. When these women had a complaint, they weren't embarrassed to directly confront their husbands. But Rebekah wasn't like that. Says the Netziv, Rebekah was malei busha upachad. She was filled with shame and fear for her husband Isaac. What makes the Netziv say that? He says, because the first time Rebekah saw her husband, she veiled herself. You see, according to the Netziv, putting the veil on was not a sign of modesty on Rebekah's part. It was a matter of fear. She was afraid of him. She never felt that she was his equal. Who knows why? She wanted him to like her, and so, at least according to the Netziv, she accommodated him and hid her face and never told him anything she didn't want to hear. Rebekah may have been the first woman who didn't feel that she was her husband's equal, but she certainly wasn't the last. It was that way for generations and generations and generations, where the woman in the home felt like a second-class citizen and wasn't treated as an equal to her husband. But you know what? We're living in a new age, in a new time, with a new woman. 3 of them are sitting on the Supreme Court. Many others are CEOs and hold important positions throughout our society. The tradition still has the bride being veiled, but it's out of a sense of modesty. It's not out of a sense of being a second-class citizen. Women today are like men, first class. And that, my Shabbos class, is my message to all of you. Shabbat Shalom.